What is up, everybody? How you doing today? Today we are back out here on the Hunter Call the Wild, and we have another top 5 video for you all. Today we will be going over the top 5 worst TruRACs in the Hunter Call the Wild. And for those of y'all who do not know, TruRACs stands for True Random Antler Configuration System. Okay, so it's basically how no two antlers on the animals are going to be the same. Horns, antlers, same difference. So we're going to be going over the ones that are the worst. I did a video on the best ones a while back. If y'all want to see that, I will try and remember to put that in the cards above. But for now, let's go on ahead and get into this video. Alright, and for our number 5, we have the Greatos Ibex, okay? And I know a lot of people in general don't like the Ibex, and I'm not like crazy about them, but I also don't dislike them. I do think they can be fun to hunt. But look, that is a level 4, okay? And I'll go ahead and shoot this thing, and we can go take a look at it. But the Greatos Ibex should be a lot bigger than they actually are. And if you go to the codex, I don't know if it says it in the codex. It used to say it, I know, when you were discovering tracks for the first time on the map. It would say about it. Here we go. Greatos Ibex. Iberian Ibex is known. They can weigh over 102 kgs. Features are their massive lyre-shaped horns, which curve backwards. And as you can see in that picture, that is a level 5, and actually I don't ever remember seeing one quite that big. All level 5s I've shot and have ever seen have not been quite that big, or it's just the angle of the picture. Regardless, they're supposed to be the largest horned ibex species, okay? And the Ronda ibex, which are one of the smaller horned ibex species, are a good chunk smaller. I mean, good chunk bigger, okay? Diamond Rondas are absolutely massive, and this is a level 4 Greatos. I mean, it just looks, it looks pathetic. I mean, why would I want to hunt this? He just looks so small. I feel like if EW was to improve anything on Quattrocolinas, what they needed to do was fix the Greatos Ibex horns. In my opinion, that is why Greatos is number 5. Our number 4 worst TruRACs is the Reindeer. And is there a male down in here? Yes, there is. There's 2. Okay, good. So I can kind of show off what I wanted to. So that right there is not my issue with the Reindeer. I think that the majority of the racks for Reindeer are just fine. They are usually a little spindly. You don't see a ton of crazy massive Reindeer. I think maybe they could stand to be a touch bigger. Like a touch more mass on them, but usually, I mean, I don't know, I think they look kind of wonky sometimes. I wish they were a little more, I don't know, even looking, because sometimes I think the Reindeer are a little too wonky. I mean, I don't mind a little bit of variance in the horns. That is not my issue at all. That's the whole point of TruRACs. But I think my main issue with the Reindeer is lack of mass, and how for the diamond horns, there's really only like one variation that'll ever make it. There is another variation that makes it sometimes, but very rarely. And I feel like you just get to see the same thing over and over again. Like, I don't know. I feel like there could be a lot of variance at it. See, that's not a bad rack. I like that. I like that. That's not bad. I wish we could have seen him a minute ago, because I would shoot him. He has the mass I like, but most of them don't. And I feel like whenever I look up a picture of a Reindeer, like the front paddles are a whole lot bigger. Like I have some pulled up on Google on my laptop beside me, and the front paddles on these things are huge. And sometimes there's 2 sets of them. And I don't know. I feel like the Reindeer are lacking in mass, their paddles, and variance in the diamond racks. That's just me, and I love them. I love the animal itself, but I feel like the TruRACs probably could stand to have a little work done to them. For our number 3 species, we're out here on Layton, and that is because it is the Blacktail. And I'm sure many people can agree with me that the Blacktail, they just don't have it. I don't know. I think the racks are kind of repetitive. The diamond rack can only be one shape, and they just, I don't know, they have a couple bugs where like there's some big level 4s. I've even seen it with level 5s having like level 2 stick racks, and they all look the exact same. I think they just need a little bit of variance with them. Like I've said, variance makes it, but you cannot have so much that things start to look stupidly wonky, kind of like the reindeer. But probably my main issue with these guys is there's just no variance and everything looks the same, and there is that bug for bigger males like level 4s, and I have seen it with level 5s, like I said, having like level 1 racks. It's kind of sad. Though don't get me wrong, I have heard from many people, and I understand that Blacktail are not meant to be huge. Okay, I think everyone kind of got a little spoiled with the legacy Blacktail and how big they were and how unrealistically large they were. Because in real life, Blacktail really are not that big. They just don't grow to the same size as, for say, a whitetail or a mule deer. They never will. But I think because this was the first TruRAC, you have to give them a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of credit, because this was one of the first ones. It came out with the Whitetail TruRACs. They were the very first ones ever done. So it's not going to be perfect. I mean, that's not a bad Blacktail right there. I just think almost every single one looks like that. There's no difference. Maybe try and change it up a little bit. I don't know. I feel like they could probably stand to have a little work to them. It's the same frame. Hardly any changes at all. And I think that's where it's just like, well, is TruRACs really even worth it? Because if I'm just going to see the same rack near about over and over again, well, is TruRACs even doing anything? And that's kind of my thought process for the Blacktail. I don't know. They're not terrible, but they're not great. All right, and here we are for our number 2 species, still out here on Layton Lakes. And this species is going to be a whitetail. Another one of the original species to get TruRACs. And I think that's probably going to be a little bit of a theme because, I don't know, I mean, when you first start doing something, I understand it's not going to be perfect the first time. But there are some things about the whitetail that I'm sure a lot of people can agree on really are not that great. So we'll shoot this guy. I'll kind of talk about it for a little bit on the way over there, and then we'll claim him. But just so we can get a look at the whitetail, go ahead and shoot that guy. So I have a few problems, first of all, with the whitetail. Mainly, I don't like the frosted tips. Okay, I hate the frosted tips on the whitetail because most whitetail don't have frosted tips. I also hate that rack. That is the fence rack. And it is basically just a whitetail that goes out to both sides. Whitetail don't look like that in real life. I mean, this is supposed to be a realistic hunting game. I know I'm nitpicking a little bit, but it's not that amazing looking. It really looks terrible. And actually, if I can get a shot at him, I will go ahead and do as such. That was a terrible shot, but actually got him anyways. So we'll take a look at the fence rack as well, and you can see how awful it is. But on the whitetail, I hate the frosted tips, and I really don't like that on, especially the larger diamonds. There are the G2s, which are the points right after the brow tines, are like twice as long as any other point on this thing's head. Like twice as long. It's kind of ridiculous. And another thing, sorry if you heard my dog in the background right there. Another thing is that look how spindly these things are. Whitetail actually have a little bit more mass than this. I mean, yeah, there are some bucks that are a little spindly, but most of them don't look like this. I think, in my opinion, I think they tried to shove too many points on these animals' heads. Okay, because some of these things are like 14 pointers, and they have points about the size of, like, about the length of half my pinky finger. And then here's your fence rack. And actually, this isn't even quite a true fence rack. It's not as bad as some. There are some that just like stick straight out to the sides. But it doesn't look all that good. So, like I said, summarize it up. I don't like the frosted tips, oversized G2s, tiny points, and too many points. Okay? And like I said, I understand that they were the one of the first ones. Also, sneak peek at your honorable mention. But I think, given that there are so many things I don't like about them, that's why they're at number 2. And like I alluded to a minute ago, our honorable mention is the Roosevelt Elk, and for one reason only. Unfortunately, there is not one in this herd. But for those of y'all who have hunted Roosevelt Elk at any point, you know exactly what rack I'm talking about. It looks kind of like this. It has these points that are bent in half and go down, and like these two tiny little forks at the end. Absolutely horrendous looking. I mean, these are not bad looking rosies, but and if I remember correctly, one thing that people were a little upset about, especially when the rosies first came out, is how fast they came out with them right after Whitetail and Blacktail. And a lot of people seem to think that EW didn't take their time as much on the rosies. And I will say, they are better than they used to be. They used to be a lot worse, but they still are not great. The smaller rosies could probably stand to use a little work. They have some racks that you're just like, really? How is this even a thing? And is one of them over there? Unfortunately, it's not looking like it. See, like that, I don't mind that. That's good. Most of those racks over there are not bad. I don't think that's it. Just gonna look and see. No, that's not it. I don't see any over there with it. But when you see it, you'll know it. It is the ugliest looking thing you've ever seen in your entire life. It just appalls me sometimes. Though I will say, I do like the big rosies. The big rosies look really good. And that's why they're only at an honorable mention. Because believe me, EW's done a really good job with most of the TruRACs. So it's hard to find, excuse me, it's hard to find TruRACs that aren't great to make a video on. So I just kind of have to nitpick a little bit. That there are a few racks, and also I have an issue with rosies going invisible. They love to do this. But I do have to nitpick a little bit, and rosies are just, I don't know, they just don't quite cut it on a few of the racks. So that's why they had to be on this list. Oh, and real quick, guys, before we get any further, that's the rack I was talking about, okay? Go ahead and give you a close-up zoom on this guy. Look at that. They got the two little forks right there, and then these points right here that go like upside down, it seems like. Look at this thing. If that is not the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life, I don't know what. But like that doesn't look bad. It's a little bit too wide, but I've definitely seen worse. So that's why these guys are on the list. Alright, so for our number 1 animal, I was having a terribly hard time finding males, but is Bighorn Sheep. And this guy right here does not look that bad. Okay? He really does not look bad at all. But if I can find one, I think I have him maybe down here. It's the small horns diamond that looks horrendous. And is that him there? Yes. Look at this. He doesn't even line up. The what? Like, there's just these giant flat spots on the top of his head. And it's the same way for a lot of the other males. And probably my biggest thing with these is, one, the lack of, like, I don't know, mass right there. And Also, Bighorn sheep usually don't curl this much. I mean, I guess in theory they could, but so many times they break these tips off. I mean, look at this. How can my dude even see? I don't even think that he can. So, I don't know. That's just my thing about the Bighorn sheep. They lack mass there, except for the Bighorn's diamonds. And the tips look like, I don't know, like they should be a little bit less round. A great example of what they should look like is the Bighorn sheep from Classic. They look amazing. Or just like you made the mouflon perfect. Like the mouflon look amazing. Look at this dude. He looks perfect. That's what a mouflon should look like. Why couldn't you do the same one map later with a Bighorn sheep? These guys just look absolutely terrible. That's just my opinion. And guys, please remember that when it comes to these videos. It is just an opinion. So you are free to have your own as well. So yeah, I think that is going to be it for today. Let me know down below what you all thought of this video, what your list would be. And yeah, I think that is it. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you next time.